Today's been a really rough day. I went out this morning and found Dolly, our cow, down. She likes to sleep right out here, and I found her down like under the fence. Like maybe she'd lay down beside it and then she tried to stand up and then she actually slid under, like as she tried to stand, because it's so slippery and there's a bank down into the creek. And from that point on today, I've just been going non-stop trying to get her better. The first thing I did was cut the fence because she was her hip was trapped under the fence. The fence was under a lot of tension, so it's really tight. Popped the fence off. She kind of slid, rolled down into the creek, and for a minute I was actually worried she was going to drown because she went into the creek, and then her body was actually working as a dam, and so there was water backing up behind her and she couldn't hold her head up very well. So I jumped in there and I actually had to turn her, just with brute force, turn her so her head was pointed up the bank. The next thing I did was I went and got the neighbor and asked him to come out with his backhoe, and he immediately dropped everything very kindly and came out with his backhoe. And I put a double strap on her, lifted her up out of the creek, put her up in the field, tried to stand her up. She wasn't able to stand up. So right now we're treating milk fever, which possibly this is milk fever. It's hard to say. So we've got an IV in her jugular vein here. We're giving her calcium right now. She looks okay. I mean, she doesn't look great, but she's not got her head down now. We had her on her feet with the tractor, but she wouldn't get her footing. The next thing I did was talk to the vet on the phone, and also talk to a longtime cattle farmer, a good friend, and they both recommended the same thing, which was to treat her for grass tetany. You know, we checked her temperature, kind of did a physical exam on her. It doesn't look like her legs were injured. She could have had a hip injury from being sprawled out like that. She's still down. The calcium really didn't do anything. I didn't think it was milk fever. She doesn't have all the signs of grass tetany, but I've been on the phone with our friend who's a cattle farmer and on the phone with the vet, talking through like what are the options. So I'm running actually down to his place, it's quite a ways, and getting the CPMK, I'm sorry. That's the treatment for grass tetany, which is very possible with her being out on the lush pasture. And he thinks that's the best next step to take, and then it can take several hours for that to work, if it's gonna work. And we'll try to stand her up here on her feet again in just a little bit. So I'm not filming much because I'm just preoccupied and trying to do the best thing for her. And grass tetany is basically a low magnesium level that can result from eating fresh spring grass. So I got the meds. The vet gave me steroids and dextrose as well. Our good friends came over. We gave her the CPMK, we gave her the dextrose, we gave her the steroids, stood her again. She wasn't able to stand at all, didn't engage with her back legs. When you lift a cow, it's actually, if you've never seen it before, it looks really brutal. I mean, getting their body weight up, it just looks so uncomfortable for them. You know, no matter what we did, she didn't engage with her back legs at all. This animal, honestly, I don't know if I've ever been closer to an animal. I've spent so many hours right at her side, like with my face against her, milking her. Every time you milk her, you brush her down, you rub her head. She loves it when you rub behind the ears and stuff. I honestly think if she ends up dying, I'll be more upset about her dying than any other animal. So we've been at this most of the day. and she's still down. I'm gonna try again here to put her on her feet. And I've helped stand cows that are down before, and they look like they're dead when they're down. They look way worse than that, but then you get them up and they put their feet down and they try to stand up at least. It makes us think that maybe she has some sort of injury, because she was actually like down under the fence, like almost in the creek. This is like the worst thing that's ever happened out here. So we just tried again to get her up. The neighbor came over and used the backhoe, picked her up, lifted her well up, held her up for a while, and tried to let her feet get on the ground. She doesn't look like she's gonna stand up. When we get her up and put her feet down, she doesn't even try to make an effort to stand. It's like her legs are just frozen. She's made just some little efforts to get up like that. Her body temperature is just a tiny bit low. It's not like dramatically low. So just got her covered with a blanket and with a tarp for tonight. There's no way to get her in a building without hurting her. I'm not gonna be like all melodramatic about this, but this is like, I've been sick all day. Just sick with worry and sadness. I'm gonna go call the vet again and just ask him if he has anything else he suggests. So I talked to the vet again, and he basically said that so far I've done everything that he would do if he had come out. And that's kind of a key point. I know some people will say, oh, you should have had the vet come straight out, but we were actually doing what he would have done if he came out. He asked me if she had her head up, and she did. She actually has been eating some hay and drank a lot of water. The vet was more optimistic and actually said it's possible that her magnesium levels are still like coming up from having gotten the medication. It's still possible that she'll stand and she'll do okay. I'm going to talk to him in the morning. He may come out midday tomorrow. He may say that he ought to come out. If she's doing really poorly, then we'll have to put her down, I would imagine, tomorrow. But it's getting to the point where, you know, a cow can't lay there for too long. So I'm about to go out once more and check on Dolly and give her some more hay, and then I'll be back. I hate to post this video because this is horrible news to share. You know, we brought you all along. I know many of you all love our animals and want to know what's going on, so we feel like we have to tell you this story, even though I tell it to you with a very heavy heart. Shed tears today, but I'm not gonna cry in front of the camera. We'll post a video tomorrow and let you know what has happened, and thank you so much for joining us.